We're live.
Vibe, that's a vibe. That's a vibe. Oh, that's a vibe. Yeah, yeah. That's.
Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Arielis. Yo, I don't care if you're online. For you guys who've been following me on my blog, I am now switching over to YouTube. Woo! The reason I am switching to YouTube, honestly, is because the platform I was using locks me out. So, with that being said, I can no longer log in. Like, literally, it's so sad. Like, I can see all my blog posts and stuff like that, but I literally can't log in. Like, I tried a million different types of ways to log in, and I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. Sorry for my language, but fuck it. I'm gonna switch over to YouTube. I've always wanted to do it, so, you know, that was a good excuse to switch over. Sorry for, like, going ghost for so long. I just had a lot going on in my life, and I'm gonna talk about it. So, the last post that I posted on my blog, the post was about, the meaning to my tattoo, and what my tattoo says is every flower must grow through dirt. And I just go over as to why I chose it, why I chose it down my spine, things of that sort. I'll drop the link below if you want to read it. That was the last post. You guys are probably wondering what this one's gonna be about. So, I've been ghost in the blogging world because I just had so much going on. But I'm gonna talk about my journey, and as many of you have read on my blog post, I was raped by my grandfather from when I was 3 until I was 7 years old, and I kept it a secret until I was 18, and it affected me in many different ways, and I grew from it. Even though it was an unfortunate situation that happened to me, I did grow from it. So I'm going to be talking about my journey with going through the court system, with my trial against my grandfather, about the situation that happened to me when I was younger. I know many of you have probably, gone through it yourself, but kept it to yourself, or didn't go through a trial, or you did go through a trial, but honestly, I wish I had someone to talk to who went through a trial. There's not that many people who actually go through a trial, especially when it comes to going against a family member of yours. It was one of the hardest things ever, so I thought I'd share my journey and hopefully help anybody else who is going through a trial against anybody who's sexually assaulted them, rape, abuse, anything like that. It's not an easy journey at all. So if I get emotional, I'm sorry. I don't know how I'm gonna get, because I thought I was gonna act a lot of different ways when the trial was happening, but you can't predict the future. You could only do so much. Like, what happened to me with my grandfather, once I spoke up about it when I was 18, I told my mom. I remember it. I told my mom. I was in college, and I told her to pick me up that weekend, and I was like, Mom, I want to come home. So she picked me up, and the whole purpose was to tell her about it, and that was the hardest thing I ever had to do. When I finally told her about it, she obviously, as a mother, a great mother, love you, Mom, if you watch this, she was pissed off, and yeah, it was when I was 18, I spoke up about it, went to police station, talked to a detective, did all that. They had to write a report. At that point, I did feel a little better, keeping a secret for so long. It was having a big toll on me, so that was good. I felt good. Was in college, got to find myself, stuff like that. So fast forward 4 years. Wow. Yeah. It took 4 years for them to finally set a date for my trial. So within these 4 years that it took, literally every single time it was either, the judge needed to reschedule for some reason, something else came up that was more important. I mean, whatever, that's the court system for you. Or the one that happened last before my trial was he got water in his brain. So his body wasn't functioning correctly and it was shutting down on him. He wasn't able to use the bathroom properly. He couldn't really speak anymore. Like, yeah, he had a really bad health issue, which, I mean, nigga, what did you think? Like, when I spoke up about it too, he tried to commit suicide. He knows nobody out here. Like, no one cares for him. No one cares for him. Like, the only people who cared for him was my family, my parents, and us. And he lost us when, you know, I spoke up about everything. And so when he tried to commit suicide, he cut his wrist, he cut his neck. And if he really wanted to die, this sounds fucked up, but if he really wanted to die, he would have stayed his ass in his apartment. Because you know what? No one cared about him. No one came to visit him. No one even thought of him. Like, he was non-existent in everybody's life. Nobody liked him. So he threw himself in the hallway because he lived in like apartment complex. So obviously someone's gonna find you. There's always people walking back and forth. So yeah, he did that. Whatever. He ended up in a coma for who knows how long or whatever. Like, his health plummeted like really bad after I spoke up. And like, it wasn't even that I felt good about it, but it was like karma's a fucking bitch. Like, yo, like honestly, it literally punched him in the face, ran him over a couple times. Like, his health was trash after I spoke up about it. And it was just like, well, I mean, like, what did you expect, you know? And also, like, I'm not the only one who he raped. He raped a couple other people in the family. I'm not gonna say who because that's their story to tell, but there was about seven of us. And I was the only one that was brave enough to go through a trial and actually speak about it. So, wow. Sorry. I haven't talked about this trial since it happened. So, the trial date ended up being in September. So, in September 5th was my first trial. And leading up to the trial, I became very, very, very depressed, and very emotional and overwhelmed with life. I became very suicidal as well. I'm tearing up already just thinking about it. Yeah, I was at my weakest point at that point, and I didn't feel like myself at all. If many people know me as like the girl who's always, you know, happy, makes everybody else happy, giving advice. But this summer was not the best summer for myself. I just really, I wasn't there. It wasn't a good summer for me. I literally would have breakdowns after breakdowns randomly, not knowing why. I would have voices telling me that I wasn't worth it anymore. I remember my boyfriend at the time, he went out with his friends, and I have no issue with you like going out with your friends, or like a boyfriend going out with their friends or anything like that. Like, go ahead, go out. But because I was so depressed, I got so emotional that night. Like, I felt so lonely, and then I was starting to lose a lot of friends as well on top of it. So it was like, not only was I depressed, I was losing friends, my life was changing on me. It was just very overwhelming. And I also just left a job, and I was a month without a job, so that stressed me out. And then I took a job that was not a very well paid job, especially since I just graduated college and received my bachelor's degree. I felt like I was undervaluing myself with that job. I only was there for 2 weeks because it was horrible. But yeah, in the midst of everything that's happening back home, I was going back and forth with jobs as well. And I lived with my mom, and you know, I don't come from a wealthy family. You know, we struggle, and not being able to help my mom when she needs to pay bills and stuff like that, and it just stressed me out. Like I just got really stressed out on top of everything else. So it was a very stressful summer. So the trial came up in September. I thought I was ready, but I wasn't. So when I did my testimony, I didn't cry, but I wish I did, because honestly, like, when it comes to these trials, especially when there's no evidence, like, the only thing they're going off of is your story, it's the worst thing ever. Because it's like, listen, I'm telling you my deepest secret, and I'm telling you something that affected me horribly. Like, it's still affecting me, and I have to prove to you 12 strangers that I'm saying the truth. Like, that shit sucked. That shit sucked so bad. It was horrible. And when I'm the type of person that if I don't really know you, I don't open up. I, you know, kind of keep my wall up. I say the bare minimum. I'm not gonna go into much detail because I don't feel comfortable with you. I'm not gonna. So it was very hard. My first trial, it was hard to even, you know, testify about what happened to me, because the type of questions they ask you they're not questions you want to answer in front of 12 people that you don't know. Like, the questions they ask are very detailed and personal, and some of the questions you don't even know the answer to, because they're asking you, like, for example, one of the questions they asked me was, do you remember how it felt? Like, what? You're really asking me if I remember as a 3-year-old how it felt, or well, what else did he ask me? The smell, like, what, like, how? Anyways, so the questions aren't reasonable at points. So, like, they have to ask you these type of questions to make sure that whatever. So mind you, I'm the only one who testified.